Yes, you read the title right. I am a CELTA trainer who says that lesson plans are bad for teaching. So why would I do this? Why would I, an experienced CELTA trainer, put out a video out into the whole world to tell trainees and for my colleagues, other CELTA trainers, to hear me say that lesson plans are bad for teaching? Why have I done this? Have I just ended my career as a CELTA trainer? Okay, let's just start off with a disclaimer. I am not asking you to go back to your CELTA course and tell your tutor, look, I saw a video by Fergus Fadden and he's a CELTA trainer and he says that CELTA lesson plans or any kind of lesson plans are bad ideas, so I'm not doing it anymore. Please don't do that. Please continue to write your lesson plans. But also, please give me just a few minutes of your time and let me explain what I mean by this title of my video. My biggest problem with lesson plans, it's not how boring they are to write or how laborious they are or how long they take to write, and they are all those things. My biggest or my first gripe with them actually is that sometimes we can get too married to our lesson plan. Sometimes we're too kind of stuck to it, and then that can interfere with our connection with our students. It can break down rapport. We're too attached. The lesson plan says that I have to move on to this next stage, so I'm going to move on. And sometimes we do that at the expense of what actually happens in the lesson. Sometimes we kind of, for want of a better way of putting it, we ignore our students because we feel we have to get through the lesson plan, otherwise the lesson is a failure. So I'm going to say that really our job as teachers, especially in the classroom, is to be reactive to our learners. For sure, have a plan, know where you're going, have an objective for your lesson, have a set of steps laid out how you're going to get there to that objective. But when your student throws you a question, or better yet, they bring some language, some vocabulary, some grammar that you can exploit in the lesson and expand upon to share with other students and to take a bit of a deeper dive, then go for that. Now, again, I'm going to go back to my disclaimer one more time. If you're on your CELTA, I'm not saying to throw your lesson plan out the window and just go with whatever whim you want or whatever comes up in the lesson. However, one thing that can make you stand out as a slightly stronger teacher, if you want to aim for those higher grades, is to listen to your students. And let's say they come up with a great piece of vocabulary. Well, get that vocabulary up on the board. You probably haven't planned it, but get it up on the board and think to yourself, is this a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective? Or is it an adverb, or whatever part of speech it is, and then put that on the board too. And if you're feeling comfortable enough, maybe even put up a little aspect of pronunciation as well. If you can feel where the stressed syllable is, maybe you just want to underline that or put a circle above it. And then what you've done there is you've listened to your students, you've responded to them, you put something up on the board, you've validated their contribution, and you're going to really enhance their motivation. Once you've done that, then get your lesson back on track, back to that procedure that you've spent so much time and effort preparing. Get back on that towards your aim. One thing that we need to do as teachers is to grow in our language awareness. And one of the best ways to do that, again, is to listen to what your students say and then take a second to think about what's wrong there. Have they mixed up the word order? Are they stressing the wrong syllable? Are they just getting one sound wrong? Are they using the wrong tense or aspect? Maybe they just have a kind of a block and you just need to help them with some vocabulary. Whatever it is, your language awareness will grow by listening and responding to your students. So again, if you're really attached to your lesson plan and you're referring to it all the time and you're almost like reading it like a hymn sheet, this is going to really inhibit this opportunity that there is there for you to develop your rapport with your students and then to grow in your own language awareness. It'll also help you kind of see the lesson as a more cohesive thing rather than a series of stages. And if you see your lesson only as a series of stages, then that could come through to the learners, and it'll just feel it's like a series of tasks, which you really don't want. You want the learners just to feel that was a lesson where I learned how to use such and such a grammar, or I improved my reading, or I improved speaking, or whatever your lesson was about. Personally, I tend to see a lesson plan kind of like, when you start riding your bike and you have those trainer wheels or stabilizers, as we call them in Ireland, on your bicycle to help you not fall off the bike, right? Like it does have its purpose. That's what it's there for. It's to keep you on track, and it's to help you learn how a lesson is structured. Like a lesson plan, especially on a course like a CELTA, has a very important purpose. But ultimately, just like those stabilizer wheels, like those training wheels, if you really want to ride that bike, you got to throw them off. And to bring that analogy into the lesson, again, I just go back to being responsive and reactive to what your learners are actually saying in the lesson. This is really the goal. This is where you can really excel and shine as a teacher and provide the best opportunities for learning and language acquisition for your learners when you really listen to them and really respond to what they are saying, what they are showing you, the errors that they have, the good uses of language, etc. What they're showing you, so that you can respond to that as to their needs in the lesson. So let me just finish by saying, while you're on your CELTA, the lesson plan is important. You need to pay attention to it. You need to pay attention to writing a good aim, doing your language analysis, selecting the appropriate set of stages, and writing a good procedure, and thinking about allocating your time appropriately, and making sure that that all matches up logically with the materials for your lesson. You absolutely need to do that. And the reason that you need to do that is because you are training at the moment. Doing the lesson plan trains you to internalize those stages, trains you to look at a set of materials and see the lead-in, see the gist task, see the pre-teach of vocabulary, see the detailed reading task, and then to see the follow-up productive task, for example. It helps you internalize that and not always worry, what's next, what's next, what's next. However, just like those stabilizer wheels on your bicycle, you need it there in the beginning just to make sure that you're on track. Think about it like a roadmap to get to where you're going, but eventually you don't need that map. You just intuitively know where your turns are, and that's where you're going. So while you're on your CELTA course, try to be a little less chained to your lesson plan. Have your lesson plan done, submit it to your tutor, of course, absolutely, 100%. But maybe spend some time with the plan before you teach, so that you can internalize what you're supposed to do in the actual lesson, rather than simply reading off the lesson plan and following it very rigidly. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you weren't too shocked by the title. Let me know, what are your personal hang-ups or gripes or problems with lesson plans and lesson planning itself? How do you feel about it? But also, could you let me know, what benefits do you get from lesson planning on your CELTA course, if you're currently doing one or if you've done one in the past? How has it helped you as a teacher? And then ultimately, I'd love to know how, if you're an experienced teacher, how did you move away from having these extensively written, detailed lesson plans to maybe just a few notes like I do here in my notebook? Or if you're on your course at the moment, let me know what strategies you're trying to implement to respond to your learners a little bit more naturally. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you found some value in this video, please, I would be ever so grateful if you'd share it with other people on your course, or other teachers, or maybe on your social media. Give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because there'll certainly be more content like this in the future. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.